she passed its south gate. It led up the driveway into their side yard. While the gate was closed, its padlock was not latched. Yet she had no intention of entering from that way. Pearl intended to use their front door. When she reached the front gate a moment later, she found it open. Entering, she started up the walkway when motion from one of the front windows caught her eye. With a frown, she stood there a moment, staring at what she believed was the living room window. If she didn't know better, it looked as if something was floating around in the room. What are they up to? She asked herself. Curious, Pearl decided to take a closer look. Ducking down so the shrubbery along the front of the house would block her from view should someone from inside look out, Pearl stealthily made her way to the living room window. She paused a moment and glanced over her shoulder, making sure no one was walking up the sidewalk. It would be just her luck to have that annoying redhead from across the street come barging over about now. Stepping off the walkway and onto the mossy ground, she crept closer to the window, careful to conceal herself from whoever might be inside. Crouching behind a leafy shrub, it covered the lower right corner of the window. She used her hands to part the branches, peeking through them and into the living room. Pearl ducked down lower because, as it turned out, there were a number of people sitting in the room. It appeared to be some sort of gathering of the neighborhood, one she hadn't been invited to. Not that she wanted to be invited, she reminded herself. There had been no reason to worry about the redhead from across the street sneaking up on her. Pearl spied her sitting in one of the chairs facing the couch. Sitting next to her in the other chair was that man from down the street, and on the sofa sat the Marlows. There was someone sitting on the floor with that troublesome pit bull, and she was fairly certain it was her other neighbor. Such a nasty girl, that one. She gets perverse delight in scaring me with that vicious dog, Pearl thought. Gritting her teeth over the thought of a pit bull residing in her neighborhood, something she would work to outlaw should she someday become a city council member, she spied what she had seen a moment before, something floating by. Was it some remote-control toy, she wondered? Whatever it was wrapped in what appeared to be a blue blanket. Pearl frowned, trying to identify the object. No one in the room seemed to be manning controls for the slowly floating bundle, which confounded Pearl. A moment later, the unidentified object shifted directions and, when doing so, revealed what was wrapped inside. A baby. Stunned, Pearl stood up, staring in disbelief as the baby floated by the window. It turned its face in her direction and opened its eyes. Looking into her face, it let out a cry.